Good morning. Today's lesson is on strategy number 2, the tone at the top. A good leader who is of great integrity leads by living example. And on the other hand, a good leader, in quotes, who is of great dishonesty leads by living example. Tone at the top is strategy number 2. Very, very important strategy when it comes to fraud and corruption control in an organization. The tone at the top is a corrective image or practice culture by the top and even middle level leaders of an organization that reflects cherished values, beliefs, actions, and all activities by the organization's team of staff as a whole. In this lesson, I am going to look at the relationship between the tone at the top and the corruption. There is an old adage that goes, you can only kill a snake by first killing its head. To fight corruption, the leaders must be corrupt free. In the next few paragraphs, I will look at how the tone at the top relates to corruption and how its manipulation can help in the fight against corruption. The tone at the top is a collective image or a practice portrayed by the top and even mid-level leaders of an organization that reflects cherished values, beliefs, actions, and all activities by the organization's team of staff as a whole. The tone at the top set the example and the direction to be followed by not only all staff from top to bottom, but also stakeholders. Take, for instance, an organization with the CEO and the board that practices zero tolerance to wrongdoing by either staff or stakeholders representatives. What message will go out to all and how will this shape the practices and the culture of all staff? It is true saying that as children look to the father for direction and living examples, so do the staff of an organization. If the top is spotlessly upright and committed to good values and the practices, that will cascade down to all in the organization, since the misfits of that environment will find it hard to operate. So they will either resign or shape up. They may as well wait to be uprooted after they have been found wanting. The opposite is also true that a rotten top management and the board of directors will make the whole organization rotten. If they are fraudulent and corrupt, they will very soon discover that almost all staff are copying what they are doing, and before long, the organization will find itself in the intensive care unit waiting to breathe its last at any time. As you follow this lesson, Many organizations headed by crooks are in the ICU. It therefore goes without much emphasis that a good leader who is of great integrity leads his subjects or staff by good living example, whereas the leader who is of great dishonesty leads by bad living example. It must be noted here that the tone at the top is good and beyond reproach. Sorry. It must be noted here that the tone at the top, when it is good and beyond reproach, it serves as foundation for good practices in the organization as a whole. It is foundation for good design, implementation of controls will serve as deterrents to fraud and corruption perpetration. The reverse is also true as noted in the foregoing lines. Political will. In governments, the tone at the top is referred to as political will, and not just political will, but proactive political will. Without political will at the highest level, it is almost impossible to combat corruption effectively. This is by Professor Tony Kwok Manuel. The highest level in the government is either the presidency or the premiership. If the presidency and the cabinet ministers say no to corruption in a country, it will end or be minimized. They will ensure that anti-corruption policies are not only in place but also proactively implemented. It is not mere talk, but active commitment to end the corruption menace, ensuring that all those who are actually charged in court of law for corruption step aside from their official duties until the case is decided. There is no single solution in fighting corruption. Every country has to examine its unique circumstances and come up with a comprehensive strategy which should embrace the three-pronged approach: deterrent, prevention, and education. Ideally, there should be a dedicated and independent anti-corruption agency tasked to coordinate and implement such a strategy and to mobilize support from the community. This is by Professor Tony Kwok Manuel. The key participants in setting the tone at the top. The following are the key participants in setting up the tone at the top for any organization. For government, the presidency, premiership, and the cabinet ministers. This can not only influence the fight of fraud and the corruption in government ministries and departments, but also set the tone for all organizations, including business companies in the country. Government and fraud and corruption agencies can also be given powers by an act of parliament to monitor and investigate all organizations in their jurisdiction. The board of directors. The boards of directors provide the overall direction of the organization. They have the greatest influence on the organization's culture and practices through directives, policies, and a discipline policy design and implementation. The Audit Committee. This provides oversight on the operations of the organization by the directors. If they are very effective in their oversight role, they will send signals that wrongdoing will not be tolerated and vice versa. The problem in almost all state-owned companies is that the audit committees are government appointees who are either too old or too corrupt to offer any meaningful oversight. The chief executive officer, by whatever title, this executive must be unquestionable of unquestionable character, and integrity to be able to set a good example for all employees in the organization to follow. And no nonsense CEO will determine the direction of the organization. If he or she is known to practice zero tolerance to corruption, then all staff either follow his example or willingly ship out of the organization. The chief finance officer. This is the person that must ensure that there are sound financial control systems within the organization. He or she should ensure that no financial wrongdoing is tolerated. That way, all staff will know that they must maintain financial probity or they will lose their good jobs. The chief compliance officer. He or she must ensure that all policies, procedures of the organization are followed. He must also ensure that the organizational staff follow industry regulatory rules and requirements, ensuring organizational integrity. The chief internal audit executive. This person must carry out both announced and surprise checks to deter and detect wrongdoing in the organization. In many organizations, the compliance officer and the internal auditor is one and the same person. The chief security officer. This is a team member of top management who ensures that assets of the organization are fiscally safeguarded through a system of fiscal checks of movements of people and the tangible assets. To start with, care must be taken in the recruitment of middle to top management team members. The process to be followed to ensure that good staff are recruited in detailed process. In conclusion, strategy number two, the tone at the top, must start from the top. If a company is to be overhauled, it must be done from the top. Any fight against corruption must start with the head. And as the adage stated on the introduction, You can only kill a snake by first killing its head. So the tone at the top is very important in setting the anti-corruption culture in an organization. So the fight must start from the top. That is the end of the lesson. This lesson on strategy number 2, the tone at the top. I will come online after almost 12 hours from now to give or deliver another lesson on strategy number 3. Thank you for listening and bye bye.